Prescott story. I'm not buying the speculation on this Dak Prescott story. It doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense, and there would be no precedent in league history for the Cowboys to move on from Dak Prescott. So we'll settle in there with, if Dak Prescott isn't a Cowboy beyond this year, it is going to be because Dak Prescott doesn't want to be a Cowboy beyond this year. And I think it is just that simple. I know the rumor is, oh, wow, the Cowboys want to make it a prove-it year for Dak Prescott because 3 straight years of 12 wins. They're the only team to ever win 12 games, 3 straight years without even making it to a conference championship game. The playoff shortcomings are obviously well documented, and that game last year against Green Bay, that's a terrible loss for a team that was as dominant as Dallas was in the regular season. But make no mistake about it, they were dominant in the regular season. And the struggles of playoff performances for Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys, it is still a small sample size, especially when you're talking about a quarterback. I think it is worth reminding people and remembering just how dominant Dak Prescott was last year. This is a guy who was second for the MVP. They led the league in scoring, second in completion percentage, third in yards. He led the league in passing touchdowns. So I was not the biggest Dak guy at the beginning of his career. I thought he was a product of Des Bryant and a great offensive line. And he was 23 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. And that was his stats every year. And he was very conservative. And he just took what the defense was giving him. And he was smart. And he played. And his availability was maybe his best asset. But this guy has grown into a definite top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Last year, according to the MVP voters, the second best player, or most valuable anyway, in the entire league. And he's 30 years old. So I was thinking, what would the precedent be for a team to move on from a quarterback like that? And it just simply doesn't exist. People say, well, the Vikings moved on from Kirk Cousins. Yeah. And he was 35, coming off a ruptured Achilles tendon. And he still got $180 million from his next team. So there are just more teams than great quarterbacks in the NFL. So Dak Prescott, everyone on Dallas seems to have an interesting contract situation. Micah Parsons, there's drama there. Premium player, premium position. I assume they're going to get it done. It's very rare that an in-your-prime pass rusher who, maybe you'd say T.J. Watt, maybe you'd say Bosa, maybe you'd say Myles Garrett. You could not make a top 5 defensive player in the league list and not have Micah Parsons on it. He'd probably be second for me behind Myles Garrett. CeeDee Lamb. Teams move on from great wide receivers. It's happened before. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins. It's the deepest position seemingly in every draft now. So if you want to say, and this was kind of the beef, I guess, that Cole Beasley and CeeDee Lamb got into over social media when videos were posted about his production, and Cole Beasley was like, I would get over 1,000 yards via 180 targets. Yeah, reasonable argument. Maybe you would. Maybe if Dallas can't pay Micah Parsons, Dak Prescott, and CeeDee Lamb, if they come to that conclusion, I would bet big money that CeeDee Lamb would be the odd man out, because we've seen it before. And while wide receiver is a premium position, I don't think we could make an argument that CeeDee Lamb deserves to be paid more money than Justin Jefferson, or that he is more physically gifted than Jamar Chase. Like, he's an excellent football player in a high-volume passing attack who produces each of the last 2 years 150-plus targets, 1 year 180-plus targets. So you move on from CeeDee Lamb if you decide that paying all 3 guys is untenable. But a 30-year-old MVP runner-up who not only wins games for you, but puts up massive numbers and puts up points. The Cowboys led the NFL in scoring last season. So if Dak isn't going to be a Cowboy after this year, it's going to be because Dak doesn't want to be a Cowboy after this year. Now, should he not want to? Maybe. But we got to take him at his word. He says he wants to be there long term. He says he's not going to let this contract stuff distract him. So I'm a bit of a truther on this one. I think that Oh, we're waiting on Jordan Love. We're waiting on Tua. Okay, maybe not. Those guys are significantly younger than Dak. They haven't been paid. Dak obviously is coming off the $160 million contract extension. I think this could end in a quick tweet from a news reporter right before training camp, right before the season opener. I would be shocked if Dak actually goes into this season without a contract extension. If he does, it'll be the biggest 1B story in the NFL all year. 1A will be the results of the games, as always. But 1B will be, is someone going to tamper with the Cowboys to get Dak Prescott to New York for the Giants, or Pittsburgh to replace Russell Wilson or Justin Fields? If Miami doesn't pay Tua, is he going to Miami? Is he going to Vegas? Like, it'll be the biggest story every week, the Dak Prescott watch, if they actually let this get into the season without signing him to a deal. So I assume Dak wants to be there. Being the quarterback of the Cowboys has been very good to him, and it seems to be good to their alums. They always end up with A-list broadcasting jobs and fame and fortune. And for the Cowboys, they have no plan B. So I expect Dak to sign with Dallas. I expect him to be the first $60 million per year man in NFL history. And even though the reporting does not suggest this at all at this moment, I think it's going to happen before the season starts. Playoff failures notwithstanding, the production is too good, the age is too good, and Dallas has no other option. Now, speaking of a team that has a ton of production and success, it's not really playoffs, but Team USA basketball. I'm a bit of a Team USA junkie. I love watching it, talking it, pretending like I'm the coach of the team. Everyone's like, I'm a fantasy football general manager. I'm like, no, I want to make a starting five for Team USA. Like, that's what I really enjoy. And you see this collection of talent together in Vegas over the weekend for the first time. And like, I knew, and I was following the select camps, and then you like actually see them on the court and you see the 12 names. And I know this will sound sacrilegious. I know it sounds ridiculous, but this is the most talented Team USA roster we've ever had. It is top to bottom more talented than the Dream Team. Now, the Dream Team is more impactful. The Dream Team will win by a higher margin of victory. It wasn't fair, right? It was the first time NBA players were allowed to play. Charles Barkley's famous line about Angola, I don't know a lot about Angola, but Angola's in trouble. Like, the rest of the world has caught up to USA basketball. Canada's got a good team. France has a good team. Obviously, the best players, Luka and Joker, it's spread out around the country, Giannis, or around the world. So obviously, the rest of the world has caught up in a macro sense. But in terms of 12 people on a team together, this team, I agree with Steve Kerr, it's got 12 Hall of Famers. And you just look at past Team USA rosters, it's not the same top to bottom level of dominance. The 2020 team won gold. Team USA has won gold 4 years in a row. They only have one loss in those 4 gold medal runs, and it was the last Olympics, 2020, to France. And then they avenged it in a close gold medal game. But that 2020 team, Jeremy Grant was on the team. JaVale McGee was on the team. Trivia question. Does anyone know who Keldon Johnson was or is? He's still with us. He's got a gold medal from 2020. No disrespect to Keldon Johnson. He's not exactly Devin Booker or Tyrese Halliburton, who might be the 12th man on this team. 2016, Harrison Barnes and DeAndre Jordan. Nice players, served a role, but not all-time guys, not Hall of Famers. The 2008 team, the Redeem Team, probably the most famous Team USA team since the Dream Team. That team, Michael Redd, Tayshaun Prince. I just don't see how this team loses, and they've got every motivation to be locked in and be dominant. We can start with LeBron. It's the last title he's ever going to win, and I don't say that disparagingly. He turns 40 in December. The Lakers struck out in free agency. They lost in 5 to the Nuggets. They've needed the play-in series to get into the playoffs the last couple of years. The Lakers are not close to being a title team in the Western Conference.